Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 cent video for this week, for the week of May 5th to 11th, 2024. And we got 4 stories to cover, including one that, well, let's just say, whatever the decision that Microsoft made created a huge, let's just say, a pretty bad fallout for that company, and we're going to go over that one as well. Plus, we're going to be taking a look at basically Nintendo bringing out their financial report though, and actually officially confirming, yes, they're working on their next system and everything like that. I also want to take a look at Helldivers 2 and the controversy that generated, to basically now a report from WB over Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, in which they may have lost a lot more money out of that game and everything like that. And if you're interested in where I got the source of these informations, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And before we get started though, I like to do what I like to call is the quick My 2 cents. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details or anything like that. The first one we're going to be talking about is that supposedly the Nintendo Museum in Japan has been supposedly has been completed and will be scheduled to open this fall though. That certainly is interesting, and you know, if I ever do visit Japan or anything like that, that's probably one of the areas, not the only areas, but one of the areas I would definitely like to see and visit. So sort of learn the interesting history Nintendo has had before they even entered in before they ever entered in the gaming market and everything like that. So that certainly would be an interesting place to see and everything like that. We also learned that basically Nintendo has confirmed during their fiscal report that basically they are planning to we'll have a Nintendo Direct scheduled for June 2024, so certainly next month and everything like that, which is certainly nice. It'll be interesting what they're going to show, especially for basically their latter half, or you know, like basically fall and winter of 2024 and everything like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they decide to announce at their Direct and all. We also learned that Nintendo will continue to support basically physical media going forward, especially with their next system and everything like that though. That has kind of come up, especially with the rise of digital sales and everything like that. And while I certainly don't deny the fact that digital sales are becoming more and more of the new norm and everything like that, it's nice to see that Nintendo is willing to continue to support physical media and everything like that. And I think that is certainly good, especially for game preservation and everything like that. Still, there is no denying that we will eventually, I'm not saying right away, but I do think there will be a point where we will eventually have to accept the fact that we're going to enter in the all digital future. I know not everyone is a fan of that, and I do think it does raise some hurdles, including, you know, do you own the right to these games and so forth. But still nice to know that Nintendo will continue to support physical media for the time being. We also learned that Nintendo has discontinued its integration with X, formerly known as Twitter, and will come to an end next month. There have been many speculations on this though. Some believe that it could be maybe they're gearing up for, you know, the next system. Others believe, you know, to integrate that, and where others believe this could be the return of Miiverse. To others believe that whatever Elon Musk was charging for to use this stuff, Nintendo was like, no, we're not going to continue supporting this or anything like that. So whatever the case may be, Nintendo has made a decision that they will be discontinuing X integration and everything like that, and will come to an end next month. We also learned that basically Nintendo NES Edition, basically the Nintendo World Champion NES Edition, will be launching on Switch in July. This is basically games that were used during the Nintendo World Championships, and also certainly nice to see that we're getting that, including the an actual physical version and everything like that. It looks like a collector's edition, and also certainly nice that Nintendo is doing this. I might keep an eye on this one as well. We also learned that Nintendo's president has mentioned the comments about how development will become even longer and more complex and more sophisticated. Apologize if I'm not saying that name correctly. And I do kind of agree with that to some extent, though. We have seen games are taking much longer to develop than before and everything like that. So there is some truth to that argument and everything like that. But we've also seen a lot of it pushed, for a lot of these long games to meet the bottom end and everything like that. I mean, we've seen how some games have gone in for a long development and never, let's just say, don't always end up as great as they should be. Like, look at Alien Colonial Marines to Skull and Bones, for example. So I do think there's some truth to this, especially with a lot of, with all the cost of development and everything like that, though. So hopefully Nintendo will figure out a way to sort of navigate this to a certain degree. But yeah, I'm not surprised about seeing how a lot of game development is going to become more complex and much longer and everything like that. We also learned that supposedly there is a rumor going around that Sega plans to make games like Persona and Sonic annual franchises through remakes and DLCs and everything like that. Part of me is kind of pleased to see this, especially with Persona, now that it's getting the attention I think it does deserve. Often, you could say in the past, often viewed as a niche title and everything like that. And I do hope this opens the door to maybe seeing other Aulx's franchise get that kind of treatment to a certain degree, like the Shin Megami Tensei or any of the other IPs that Aulx has handled and everything like that. But at the same time, I'm a little worried of what they mean by annual. Are they talking about maybe like releasing one every year, aka Call of Duty, or maybe basically, or at least give it the time to bring out and put out quality titles and everything like that. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. But part of me is kind of excited, especially with Persona and everything. And finally, we learned that there's basically rumors going around about what's info is in terms of what's in the Switch 2 and everything like that. And there's been a lot of speculations at this time what it could be in it, ranging from how much RAM into it. I've heard stories ranging from 12 gigabytes of RAM. I've heard, in terms of it being, in terms of power consumption, there's reports of it being, when docked, it's as close to a little bit closer to like the Series S, while in portable mode could be closer to like the PS4 Pro. Again, this is all speculations. We'll have to wait until we get the official confirmation from Nintendo and everything like that. So, but still, as we get close, since Nintendo has confirmed it, confirmed the existence of their next system, a lot of this is going to pop up and everything like that. And in the movie and TV show part of our Quick My 2 Cent, we are learning about basically that the Super Mario Bros. Movie certainly became very profitable and everything like that. And that's certainly, I'm not entirely surprised given the reaction for the movie, though. I mean, obviously, critic-wise, it didn't get the best critic scores out there. But user scores was a completely different story. And I think the contributing factor to the movie being a success, I think, could be the view of video games in general, the longtime Mario fans out there and Nintendo fans. So there's a lot of factors you could point to that contributed to the movie's success. But in either case, though, I'm glad the movie did well at the box office. Obviously, we know a sequel is happening, though. We'll have to wait to see how long we have to wait for the sequel to exactly what the plot for the sequel might be. We're also learning that Bob Iger has mentioned how the MCU or Marvel is going to be basically reducing their output. I think basically we've seen what happened over the last couple of years, especially after last year, where while Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 definitely did very well at the box office, others like the Marvels to Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, combined with stuff like Secret Invasion, didn't exactly do as well as they have hoped for. So it's clear that they're aiming for more quality than quantity and everything like that, though. So I mean, it may not be a bad decision to do that and everything like that. I'm not saying this is the end of the MCU. I don't think they should kill off the MCU and everything like that. But I think it's clear there's going to have to be some course correction to a certain extent and everything. We also learned from the Hollywood Reporter that there is a strong chance that Season 2 of FX's Shogun could be happening all. For those who are not familiar, this is based off of, I think, a book and everything like that. But the show has been doing has gotten rave reviews and has gotten very good viewerships and all. Some have kind of dubbed it sort of like Game of Thrones with in a samurai setting and everything like that. I still have to finish off the final episode. Hopefully we'll get to that soon. But in either case, I mean, it does seem to indicate that there is a possibility a season 2 could happen, but we'll have to wait and see if basically if there are excuse me, areas behind the scene where they want to iron out some certain parts and everything like that. We also learned that basically there is a push for the Paramount and and Sony and Paramount and everything like that. And supposedly one of the things Sony is claiming, or at least the report, is that they would consider selling off the TV shows and not TV shows, TV stations, and even the Paramount Plus and all, and keep the movie division and everything like that. However, it does seem to indicate that there might be some hurdles for this, considering that there are rules that a Japanese company cannot own, like at least an American company or something like that. At least I don't know the whole details or anything like that. And so there are definitely some hurdles in terms of regulations to try to address. Despite that, it does seem to indicate that on a report that seems to indicate that one of the persons who are part of Redstone or Shara Redstone is not, if I'm saying her name correctly, is not interested in the Apollo or Sony deal, and it does seem to indicate she's trying to basically figure out a way with the whole Paramount and Skydance deal and everything like that. So we'll see what's going to happen with this, though. It'll be very interesting to see. And if Sony is trying to get Paramount, it'll be interesting to see what regulators decide to do, whether they choose to go really hard on Sony on this, or if they decide to not go as hard and everything. So we'll just time will tell how this is all going to play out and all. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Helldivers 2 and the sort of the controversy it kind of got itself caught in the middle of. Now, supposedly, for those who are familiar, that is a new game released by both Sony and I believe Aulx Studio, if I'm saying the name correctly. It's basically a co-op third-person shooter and everything like that. The game's available exclusively on the PS5 and also available on PC. As we've been seeing, Sony seem to be looking at bringing more of their games over to the PC and everything like that. Now, the game has received positive response, and apparently a lot of people are very pleased with this game and everything like that, especially for those who are into the co-op shooters and everything like that and all. But controversy kind of emerged when it was becoming clear that basically that Sony was going to require, especially for those who game on PC, that you will be required to get a PlayStation Network account and everything like that. Now, to some, this may not seem like a huge idea and everything like that, but it turns out to be that's not exactly the case, especially according to this article from Engage, which kind of basically points out a bit of the history of it. It points out that on this, basically this is what they had to say. Quote, on Thursday, May 2nd, Sony announced that all Helldivers 2 Steam players will be required to log into their PlayStation Network account in order to continue access the game on PC. The requirement will go live for new players on May 6th, and existing players will start seeing a mandatory login prompt at the end of the month. Usually, this wouldn't be a massive issue since PlayStation accounts are free and it's relatively painless to link one to Steam. However, Helldiver 2 has been sold around the world and PlayStation Network is only available in 73 countries. That would leave well over 100 countries and territories in the lurch, with those players unable to play a game that they already paid for. Refunds were also out of the questions for most players, especially the most dedicated ones, since Steam generally limits those to games that they played for less than 2 hours. The bad reviews started to pour in. They show pictures of some of the reviews, though. Neither Arrowhead nor Sony seemed to know what to do next. Sony published an FAQ on Helldivers 2 Discord that didn't offer solutions and instead seemed to advise affected players to create a PlayStation Network account in different countries, a violation of the platform's terms. It became readily apparent that through tweets and Discord's update that while Sony was the driving force behind the PlayStation Network requirement, Arrowhead developers kind of hated it. They even encouraged the reviews riot. Over the weekend, more than 200,000 people posted negative reviews of Helldivers 2 on Steam, taking it overall its ratings. On Sunday, May 5th, Sony silently removed Helldivers 2 from Steam in 177 countries and territories that don't have access to PlayStation Network. That same day, Arrowhead's CEO tweeted, "We are talking a solution with PlayStation, especially for non-PlayStation Network countries. Your voice has been heard, and I'm doing everything I can speak of for the community, but I don't have a final say." On May 6th, the day of the PlayStation Network requirement was set to go live for new players, Sony backtracked it. The company tweeted that its account link plans will not be moving forward. The message continues, "We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans." On top of that, apparently this whole backlash has led to some changes, though, at the very least, with the upcoming Ghost of Tsushima coming to the PC, though. It turns out to be that, according to them, this is what they had to say. Quote, "Just so you are aware, a PlayStation Network account is required for the Legends Online multiplayer mode and to use PlayStation Overlay. It is not required to play the single-player game." So, I guess for that one, that's a bit of a silver lining, though. Sucks that you still need a PlayStation Network account if you want to play the multiplayer on PC, but at least they're not denying you the right to play it on single-player, though. Now, if this was a optional choice or anything like that, then I wouldn't see this as a huge deal. All right, you're giving PC players the option to sign into a PlayStation Network account and everything like that, but for those who don't want to use that option and rather prefer signing in with like their Steam account, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, it being it as an optional choice and all. But to force players to require that you must sign into a PlayStation Network account, I can see why, if you're a PC gamer, why this may not sit well, especially if PlayStation Network is not available in your country or anything like that. So I understand why some folks may not be exactly pleased with this announcement or anything like that. But it appears that it's good that Sony decided to backtrack and decided to change this feature and everything like that. But I am hoping, although we've seen a lot of these companies make mistakes and don't learn from them, I'm hoping that Sony has learned some lessons out of this, especially if they are pushing to put a lot of their games on the PC side of it as well. So time will tell if Sony will learn from this and everything like that, but it seems like a lot of people, particularly those who like the game on PC, spoke out against this policy, and obviously they won, and I certainly don't see that as a bad thing or anything like that. So overall, pretty much a dumb move on Sony's part, but at the very least they were willing to backtrack on it, although that came after the backlash they got from trying to implement this policy of theirs, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and we're going to be talking about Microsoft and let's just say the debacle or the situation that occurred following the closure of several of Bethesda studios, particularly Tango Gameworks and everything. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be talking about Microsoft. And boy, this one is a bit of a doozy and everything like that. Now, for those who may have been living under a rock, for those who are not familiar, Microsoft recently made the decision to close down several studios, particularly on Bethesda's side, though. Some of them ranging from those who worked on like Mighty Doom, some of the mobile games. Others are being moved over to Elder Scrolls Online and all. But probably some of the big ones was hearing about Arcane Austin being shut down. They were the ones that did the Redfall game, which, let's just say that one did not get the best of response last year. And Tango Gameworks, which is known for Evil Within 1 and 2, Ghostwire Tokyo, and their last release, Hi-Fi Rush, and everything like that. Let's just say the response to this was not very good. In fact, it has delivered into enormous outcry and backlash to basically Microsoft. We've seen cases where on that day they made that announcement, they basically were announcing a new controller and that with the hashtag Feel the Burn, and well, that did not go over well with everybody so badly to the point that they had to take that down and change the wording to it because of the whole backlash situation. There have been like articles calling Microsoft and the leadership out on this, and even some of the higher ups, the original Xbox creator of the Xbox has chimed in on this, worried that this may have been from the higher ups, to some feeling this is an Xbox, it's Microsoft Gaming. They had Matt Booty came out talking about some of these decisions and then try to follow up saying they care about smaller games, but comes off as contradicting themselves after you did what happened with Tango Gameworks and Hi-Fi Rush. Some claim about the whole situation with basically with after with Tango Gameworks, to the point where now Hi-Fi Rush is being reviewed bombed, though, which I'm not a huge fan of and anything like that, but still being reviewed bombed on Steam, to even the camp that Phil Spencer has basically put in Fallout 76 got nuked in that game and everything like that. And the fact that he's remained quiet on the situation has really started to raise some questions about it, though. And it was definitely not the best week for Microsoft. And recently, though, Sarah Bond, who was interviewed in Bloomberg, basically tried to chime in on this situation. This is what she had to say while being interviewed. It said, quote, "It's hard when you have to make decisions like this. When we look at all the fundamental trends, we feel deeply responsible to ensure the games we make, the devices we build, the service we offer are there throughout moments, even when the industry isn't growing and when you're going through a time of transition. The news announced this week is an outcome that our commitment to make sure the business is healthier for the long term." Some of the claims is that because they kind of stretched themselves too thin with like buying all these studios and everything like that. Anyway, further along, it says, quote, it basically said, quote, "Despite what happened this week, Bond was quickly to note that Microsoft and Xbox are still committed to their studios and working with partners both large and small." Interestingly, Matt Booty had said similar things during a town hall meeting this week. She went on to make special mention of Bethesda in this case and how Xbox remains committed to the role that it plays within Xbox. When directly asked why Hi-Fi Rush was shut down after winning awards increasing Game Pass sales subscription, Bond suggests that it was a whole range of factors when making decisions and trade-offs, and starting how it's not necessarily a case of one size fits all. Ultimately, though, it apparently falls back on Microsoft's long-term commitment to the health of its gaming business and everything like that. It also, the article, this is from Pure Xbox, says, notably, Bond's latest response doesn't touch on the financial performance of Hi-Fi Rush. While we know it reached millions on Game Pass, originally there were claims it didn't make the money it needed. However, Xbox did respond to this, suggesting it was a breakout hit. Now, for me, and basically getting all the information, reading about all this information and everything like that, there's two sides of this I am looking at this, though, and here's how I see it, though. On one hand, I will say it is possible that there are numbers that back up, back up the decision that Microsoft may have done on this. I mean, we are seeing that for a lot of these studios, and that some of them are being stretched too thin. Others is just that a lot of the budgets for some of these games are getting completely out of control. So it is possible the numbers are there and everything like that. But on the other hand, the problem with this is the narrative that folks like Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, Matt Booty, and the head of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, if I'm saying this name correctly, were pushing. And this feels like, for a lot of fans, that they were lied to. That's the thing, though. I mean, you had the head of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, if I'm saying his name correctly, talked about following the fallout with Redfall and how that game stumbled out of the gate, saying they weren't going to close Arcane Austin. that, guess what? Arcane Austin happened. Not to mention Pete Hines making the claim that people will be playing this game in 10 years. Well, we saw that's not happening and everything like that. To even people like Aaron Greensberg, if I'm saying his name correctly, responding to claims about High Five Rush not doing very well, but his claim it is. And then we see the studio that made it shut down and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, it basically feels like you lied to them and overpromised on things that you couldn't even deliver in on. I think that is really the big issue a lot of fans, Xbox fans have. It feels like the trust is gone right there, though. And I think this whole situation, in my view, does raise question of not only the leadership at Xbox in general and people who are in charge, but also the infrastructure as the foundation for Xbox, because I do feel to some extent it does feel like it's one problem over one problem, then the next problem, and it feels like no lessons are being learned from this in any way. And I think that is the big problem. And the fact that Phil Spencer has remained quiet on the situation raises a lot of questions indeed. In fact, I do feel that Microsoft is going into their June Xbox showcase, I believe it's June 9th, in a weak position. And they're really going to have to work hard to earn a lot of people's trust and everything like that. I also think a lot of it has been communication and messaging. Microsoft has not, in my view, I don't think they have done a really good job with the messaging and all that. So I understand why a lot of fans are very angry at this. This was not handled very well, and I do feel that the trust has been hit on this one, and Microsoft's going to have to work really hard to win back people's trust, though, because of this whole situation, how it all played out. Kind of similar to what I saw with CD Projekt Red after Cyberpunk 2077 was launched back in 2020. That way that game was handled and all the stories behind the situation lost CD Projekt Red a lot of trust, not to mention a lot of refunds to be made, and it took them years to rebuild that trust after what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. And it is possible this could be the kind of situation Microsoft is in right now with their Xbox gaming division, though. So yeah, they're going to have a lot of work in terms of fixing what happened this week and everything like that. It really sucks to see some of these studios close, including Tango Gameworks. I enjoyed the games they put out. I thought they were really good and everything like that. And it sucked that they got the chopping block and everything like that. So we'll have to see what happens going forward. But right now, I do have to admit this is a PR nightmare for Xbox, and I think they're going to have to figure something out to win a lot of people's trust after how things played out this week. So overall, though, it's not out of the realm of the possibility Xbox could bounce back from this, but it's going to be very tough for them to basically win back a lot of people's trust, especially how things have been handled, though. And if the leadership really cannot get their act together, or at least deliver a clear-cut message on this, then I hate to say this, I know some might disagree with me on this, but I think it might be time for a change in leadership and everything like that. So this has not been a great week for Microsoft, and particularly with Xbox in general and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with Nintendo releasing their financial report and officially making the Switch successor announcement. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Nintendo's financial report. Now, they did release their financial report this week, including basically making the official confirmation about the Switch successor and everything like that. Now, in terms of how their system did and everything and all, according to the latest report, the current system is now sitting at basically at 141.32 million units sold worldwide, which is not bad at all, and it's certainly nice to see the system doing very well and everything like that. However, it's still short of hitting the DS goal at all, or overtaking the PS2 at all. And it remains to be seen at this time if it would basically reach the 154, overtaking the DS that's currently sitting at 154.02 million units sold, to even the PS2 and all. And the question is, can they be able to hit that before they able to, bring out the Switch successor and everything like that? So time will ultimately tell on this one. Still impressive numbers, don't get me wrong. There's no denying the fact that the Switch is definitely a big success for Nintendo, but still it remains to be seen if it will overtake the PS2 or the DS. I'm not ruling out the possibility that it could, but it wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't overtake those two systems or everything like that. In terms of the top 10 bestseller games so far, basically we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 61.97 million. It's pretty much like Skyrim and Grand Theft Auto 5 at this point. Animal Crossing New Horizon at 45.36 million. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 34.22 million units sold. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 31.85 million units sold. Super Mario Odyssey at 27.96 million units sold. Pokemon Sword and Shield, I believe both games combined, had 26.27 million units sold. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet at 24.92 million units sold. And Super Mario Party at 20.66 million units sold. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at 20.61 million units sold. Not bad, I'm glad that it's up there though. And New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 17.45 million units sold and everything like that. As far as some other games, though, they do point out that basically those Princess Peach Showtime and Mario versus Donkey Kong have surpassed 1 million units or 1 million sold so far, though, according to the financial report. And points out that Princess Peach's Showtime has sold about 1.22 million units since its launch on March 22nd, 2024. Mario vs. Donkey Kong has managed to sell 1.12 million units since its launch on the February 16th, 2024. I mean, not bad for a game that supposedly, I think, is a remake of, I think, the Game Boy Advance game and everything. So, certainly nice to see that one do well. I was curious to see how Princess Peach Showtime would actually do, especially going up against, heavy hitters like Rise of the Ronin and Dragon Dogma 2 and everything like that. So I was kind of curious to see exactly how well that one does. And assuming this is the expectation Nintendo had set, though, certainly not bad for Princess Peach's solo outing, though. But the big one that came out of this financial report, to be exact, was basically Nintendo, after years and months of waiting to hear them actually say something about this, has now officially came out and confirmed that basically they are working on their next system and everything like that. Dubbed sort of like the Switch successor and all. So according to this, there was a tweet that was put out during the financial earnings and all, and this is what Mr. Furukawa had to say, president of Nintendo, saying, quote, "We will make an announcement about the successor to Nintendo Switch within this fiscal year. It will have been over 9 years since we announced the existence of Nintendo Switch back in March of 2015. We will be holding a Nintendo Direct this June regarding the Nintendo Switch software lineup for the latter half of 2024, but please be aware there will be no mention of the Nintendo successor during that presentation." So obviously, they're saying, yeah, don't go in with expectations that the June presentation will be about the Switch successor or anything like that. It does sound like, at the very least at the time, it does seem to indicate that Nintendo might be taking a similar approach with the Switch successor or Switch 2, much like they did with the original Nintendo Switch when they finally revealed it back in October 2016 and then officially launched, I think, like around March of 2017. So it sounds like that's the case that Nintendo might be heading towards with the Switch successor, but again, nothing official at this time or anything like that. It is worth pointing out there was an update that pointed out that they were describing the Switch successor as basically the Switch's next model. According to a post by David Gibson, it reads, quote, in a results call when asked if the next gen console will be brand new, or Phil Carr answered, Switch next model is the appropriate way to describe it. So how I'm taking that, I'm saying that it probably means that which I kind of felt like that was probably going to be the case, is that you're not going to expect to see anything at least revolutionary about the next Switch. It's going to be what I would view as more powerful Switch. I'm not saying powerful like maybe like Xbox Series X or PS5 powerful or even PC powerful, but certainly more powerful than the current Nintendo Switch. Although there are rumors about, how powerful it will be when docked and undocked and everything like that. So it doesn't surprise me if the next Switch is just going to be a more powerful version than what the current Switch is. Now, exactly how it looks, how it plays, and if all the rumors about the features are going to turn out, whether those are true or not, that remains to be seen. But again, not really surprised by that if this turns out to be the case. But in either way, it's finally glad that Nintendo finally acknowledged the Switch successor to the public and everything like that. Now we just have to patiently wait for them to officially announce and show what the system looks like, to exactly what's inside of it, whether the rumors about it using DLSS are true, although I'm kind of leaning towards that being the case, seeing that it is true, to if it's being powered by the rumored NVIDIA T239 chip, to certain RAM, to the whole issue how it will be docked and undocked. So hopefully we'll get answers about those soon and everything like that. But overall, not bad physical report from Nintendo though. Still remains to be seen if they'll overtake the DS or the PS2 in terms of Switch lifetime sales and all. Certainly some of the games, top 10 of those million sellers are doing very well. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I'm not really that surprised and everything like that. But for them finally confirming the Switch successor, I think it's a long time coming. Now we just have to wait for Nintendo to finally actually show the damn thing and everything. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part. And this one has to do with Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, and basically WB losing a whole lot of money, let's just say. So we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, I'm going to be taking a look at Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, and well, numbers coming in of exactly just how much money did WB lost in that franchise, or at least in that game and everything like that. Now, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League has had pretty much a rough time ever since the official gameplay was revealed. When we learned that Rockstar was working on this game and everything like that, some people were kind of curious about how this game was going to look and play, especially considering it came from the studio that did the excellent Batman Arkham trilogy and all. But when Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League when the gameplay was officially revealed during Sony's State of Play, it did not go over well with everybody. The live service element did not sit very well with a lot of folks, to even basically the whole looter shooter or the approach that they were aiming for. This led to the video, or at least footage of that, being downvoted on YouTube big time and getting some pretty negative response, to the point that the game was delayed to try to aim for like a February release for this year and everything like that. And finally, when the game came out, it basically looked like it bombed really, really hard and everything like that, despite some of the seasons or updates, to be exact, and all. In fact, in an article from IGN, it points out, at least according to what they're saying, is that Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League has disappointed Warner Bros. Discovery's owner of developer Rocksteady to the tune of $200 million hit in revenue and everything like that. According to the article, it says, reporting in its first quarter financial reports, Warner Bros. Discovery says game revenue declined significantly as a result of a tough competition with last year's best-selling video game Hogwarts Legacy. It's worth pointing out Hogwarts Legacy is a offline single-player game and everything. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League generated significantly lower revenue compared to those generated by Hogwarts Legacy during the same 3-month period, the company said. In a follow-up investor-focused call, Warner Bros. Discovery boss called the release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League disappointed before Warner Bros. Discovery's chief financial officer detailed an impairing change to the company abstinent as a result of the game's failure. Starting with the studio, the $400 million year-over-year decline during the fourth quarter was primarily due to the very tough competition we faced in games against the success of Hogwarts Legacy last year in the first quarter, in conjunction with the disappointing Suicide Squad release this past quarter, which was impaired, leading to a $200 million impact to EBITDA during the first quarter, which stands for earnings before interest, tax, disruption, apologize, and absorption. Apologize, I'm not saying that name correctly though. And another article kind of points out looking at the failures and the flops with like movies and everything like that. The fact that this game flopped, in my view, is really not that shocking at all. In fact, I mean, when I saw the trailer for it and the show of gameplay, it just really didn't click with me on this. And this is coming from a company that's supposedly doubling down on live services and everything like that. And we've seen this time again from a lot of companies that try to double down on this, is that, well, one, live service requires people to have time to basically play your game. And you're asking them to spend time and try to log in and everything like that. And not everyone does that at all. And two, I just think it's gotten to the point that the live service bubble has popped and everything. I mean, yes, there are those that will succeed in the live service, but it becomes very, very difficult. And I think companies like WB Games, along with Square Enix, are trying to capture that live service bubble. But every time they try, it seems like it's one mistake after another. We saw this with Square Enix with Babylon's Fall and Marvel's Avengers and everything like that. And it remains to be seen what this means going forward with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I mean, right now we don't know what's going to happen with Rocksteady and everything. So, I mean, it's possible Rocksteady could survive this, but it's also possible that WB might shut them down and everything because of this situation. And I wouldn't be surprised if Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League goes the way of what we've seen with Anthem or other live service games like Marvel's Avengers, where that got shut down entirely though. I mean, it seems to indicate that the folks up at Rocksteady wanted to do a live service game, and that just didn't pan out very well for them though. So it remains to be seen what the future for this game is going to be, but I don't think it's a bright future at all, though. And I wouldn't be shocked at all in any way if it turns out in the end they decide to shut down the servers and just cut their losses with this game altogether and all. So overall, I would have to say I'm not shocked to hear that they lost money out of this with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I think it became a game that nobody wanted, or at least the direction they were going with this game, though. And I think the sad part about all this is that I seriously doubt, although I could be wrong, I seriously doubt WB will learn anything from this situation and will try to continue doubling down on, live service games and everything. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the whole Helldiver 2 controversy and the attempt by Sony to do it requires you to log in and create a PSN account and everything like that? Do you think this was a dumb move on Sony's part, though? Do you think that some people were blowing it out of proportion? Do you think Sony has to reevaluate how they approach, handling this, especially if they're planning to bring more games over to the PC? What are your thoughts about the decision of Microsoft making what they did in terms of shutting these Bethesda studios down, including Tango Gameworks? Do you think it was the right call on Microsoft's approach? Do you think people are blowing it way out of proportion? Or do you think this was the wrong call and basically this did more harm and good to the brand itself. And do you think that the Xbox brand can recover from this, or do you feel like this really damaged the brand and all? And do you believe that there may have to be a change in leadership over at Xbox in general? What are your thoughts about Nintendo's financial reports, though? Do you think these are good numbers and everything? Do you believe that the Switch will overtake the DS or the PS2 in terms of lifetime sales? Or do you think it will fall short of that, though? Are you glad that they finally acknowledge and point out that, yes, they are working on the next system? Do you feel like Nintendo will approach, in terms of announcing their next system, the same way they did with the Switch back when they announced it in October 2016 and then finally put the system on sale March 2017 and all? And what are your thoughts about the amount of money that WB lost with Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League? Were you surprised by this number? Were you not really surprised at all? Do you think that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's fate has been sealed in any way? Or do you think this game could bounce back at all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!